that and work on his speed is good. His speed is good. He just
And,
needs to tighten up a little bit his defense.
and he might get better guys in his sparring sessions now to help him work on some stuff too. You know,
Yeah, and he could take the winner of Wilder and Ortiz. I mean,
Ruiz.
not Ortiz. I'm sorry, Ruiz.
But Wilder talking
He
about
could take the
AJ, but
winner of
yeah,
that. Yeah, well, he's got to win. It's. I mean, I think he will win, but he has to win.
Right. I
That's
need to be honest. Dillian Whyte. Are we still talking about Dillian Whyte?
yeah,
we can, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. My opinion, Dillian hasn't got a lot left. And when he's not a top 10 fighter anymore, based on that performance. He'd just be
yeah.
on the outside of it. I even believe he'd have a real chance of losing to Chisora, to be absolutely honest. He should have a rematch with Chisora. There's no way he should be getting anywhere near Joshua. No, not anymore.
No, he should
Not
not be.
Joshua and not Wilder.
Yeah, he shouldn't. He needs a decent looking performance if he's going to get an AJ fight or AJ rematch.
You know what? I to be honest, can see him ending up like Chisora. I think he's only got 3 more fights and he needs to retire. Otherwise, he's going to get seriously hurt. Seriously, his punch resistance is completely gone.
You think they would match him
Every time
against
he
Jarrell
fights-
Miller?
Yeah, but him and Jarrell Miller, I tell you what, I'd even pick Miller to probably beat him. The problem with Dillian Whyte is that whenever he gets involved in a tear, there's always a possibility he's going to get buzzed or knocked out. Now his resistance is gone. So he now has to fight in this jabbing way, jabbing his way to victory. He hasn't got it anymore.
Right, and that isn't really his best game.
His best game is to go for the knockout.
Right.
He can't box like that. The way I was watching, I'm thinking he needs to throw a left. If he fight the way he's supposed to fight, he would have knocked Franklin out, I think, if he'd done it the proper way, like he used to fight.
Well, so not supposed to fight. He can't fight the same way he used to. There's no supposed to.
If this had been 3 or 4 years ago, he would have cleaned Franklin out with it. And we all know that,
Yeah.
So,
but it's
anyway,
not. Unfortunately, it's not. You're right.
Yeah. I could see, I think he needs to lower his opposition and his expectations as well.
You mean like
A
Chisora
rematch with Chisora would be the perfect way to bow out. And then have a big fight against Joshua or whatever, Joshua must have been laughing to have said, this guy will get knocked out in 3 or 4 rounds of me.
Yeah. That's sad. He wouldn't. I wouldn't really entertain a Chisora rematch. Maybe to calm.
Yeah, Carlos Takam. But he's at that level now where he's on the slide, where he's on the Pulev kind of level. He's on that level now, or just below. Even Pulev might even beat him. Based on that.
I was going to say that might be a good fight if he could win, but he wouldn't look impressive against Pulev.
I think Pulev would jab his head up. But anyway, we'll move on to the next thing. Did anybody watch the British heavyweight fight, Fabio Wardley and Nathan Gorman? I did. Very good fight.
Yeah, Gorman got floored.
He did. But neither guy looked that impressive. I mean, Fabio Wardley, did you watch the fight, Tom?
Yeah.
Fabio Wardley has no defense. Have you noticed that? His defense is terrible.
Yes. I was going to say, he's not that good, but he just was able to, hit Gorman with a good shot. Like, I don't think unless he, he tightens up his defense, he's not going to be, a title threat or something like that.
He's domestic level. You know what? I don't think he even makes it to European level. And that's no disrespect to him. I think he struggles to even make it.
British Commonwealth, he could probably maybe win one of those titles. I mean Gorman, wasn't that a British title?
That was for the British title.
Yeah, so he would have to fight I guess a level above that to get the Commonwealth.
I mean, he had no amateur experience. He was a white collar boxer, which is just like amateur sort of boxer. Did you watch the fight, Tom?
I agree.
Fabio Wardley against Nathan Gorman or not? Hello? All right.
He might be on mute.
Okay, he's put on there, I think. Let's have a look at what else. I saw one of your posts come up saying that Efe Ajagba is going to be fighting Oscar Rivas.
Yeah. It's I'm not sure what it's for, but yeah, it's a heavyweight fight. But I'm saying, like, as far as if it's for an intercontinental belt or something like that.
There's nothing. It's just so it begs the question.
I did. Hold on a second. I'll give you my opinion in a second. Yeah,
I don't see the point of Oscar Rivas.
My
what?
Order.
Yeah. Do you want me to mute you, Tom? I can't. So anyway,
yeah,
I
take
think
as long as you need. Hello.
I think this fight is a waste of time if it's not for the Bridgerweight belt. You know, he might as well vacate that belt if he's fighting a heavyweight. What's the point? You know, surely Ajagba could have got down to 225. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, he could have, but if he's not ranked, if Efe Ajagba is not ranked in the Bridgerweight, if he's currently not regularly fighting in that weight class, then Rivas can't really defend against him, not by law, by the rules. You know, you got to defend against somebody in the top 15. And Babbitt was supposed to fight Rivas, but something happened with Babbitt, so he couldn't go and defend the Bridgerweight. So I guess they was looking for a decent name that was available for a fight.
He would have been a perfect name for it.
Well, I think it's a good fight anyway. I mean,
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I wanted to say about Wardley. I wanted to say about Wardley and Gorman. Gorman was the better boxer, but his head was soft.
Yeah.
So he couldn't take the punch. That's all I have to say about that. And Wardley, I don't know what they're going to do with that guy. They got to get his defense together because all he is right now, the way he was catching those punches against a bigger, stronger guy with the chin, he would have been out of there.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this. No, he's not. But I'm back to this fight here. I think it's a good fight, and if it's a win-win, it's a win situation for Efe. It's a lose-lose for if Rivas loses. So you know, I think it's going to be good for 5 rounds, and I think Rivas is going to pull away with it.
You think he beats Efe?
Yeah, I think he beats him.
I think so too. I'm not too impressed with Efe because of
Oscar Rivas will win because there's nothing particularly great about Ajagba. He's got good power, but he's got no real defense. He can be outboxed. I just think it's an awkward fight for him.
Yeah, and Rivas' style is a little, like you said, it's awkward for Efe. I don't think he could deal with it too long. Like Tom was saying, 5-6 rounds. Yeah, Rivas is going to really be overwhelming him after that.
He has a puncher's chance. He does.
Yeah, because he got the size. He got the size and the reach advantage, I believe. So that should keep you in the fight. If you could keep the guy at the end of your jab or whatever the case is. Right. So we'll see.
Well, he's still vulnerable. He's vulnerable, Efe. So, with his defense, and I haven't seen a lot of stylistic changes with him as he's come along.
Not at all. And this is after, I think he got dropped. Who did he get dropped against? He won the fight, but he got dropped. And,
I forgot. It was against the European guy.
Yeah, and after that fight, it was like he wasn't that straight power guy. He was kind of worried about falling, and then you could see it in the way he's been fighting ever since. But I kind of agree with you. Yeah, Rivas should win this. What else, Nate?
Let me have a look.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, I'm just having a quick look what we've got. So, oh bloody hell, this is a bit of a mess this week. That was last week. Have a look. Fucking hell. There was some more news, wasn't there? Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
we
dear.
have
There was talk
theories.
about Joshua fighting Deontay Wilder in Nigeria, which I think is an interesting thing.
Yeah, but they're gonna do
Really?
that in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but
It would
Saudi
probably
Arabia is
be-
where the money is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
In other
Qatar or
news,
wherever they're gonna do it at. They got all those
Reggie,
stadiums now in Qatar. They could put it in there.
Yeah.
Reggie
That's-
Progress stopped Jose Cepeda to win the WBC super lightweight title. I didn't watch this fight. Was it good?
I did. It was a good fight. It was a very Cepeda put up a good fight. You could see on Progress's face he caught him several times, but he just didn't have the power to keep him off of him. So by the 11th round, he got him. He got to him, but he
Yeah.
shook him up the round before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Prograis just showed like he was just a little bit too much for Cepeda. I was saying that Cepeda's not an easy out. You can't sleep on him. I believe he beat Ramirez, and he's he gives a good showing. So
Yeah,
I mean,
real good show.
so now Regis is the champ. I think Regis is gonna fight AB soon.
Yeah.
I think Regis is gonna fight AB soon.
Yeah, well, that's good. Let's do that.
In other news, Liam Smith will be fighting Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah. I think Chris Eubank should beat him. Liam Smith is fundamentally better than Chris Eubank.
Oh yeah, he is.
But Eubank has been fighting at super middleweight. I don't think that Liam Smith's power is going to be anything that Chris Eubank is going to worry about. So, and Eubank's power could upset Liam Smith. So, I got Eubank winning that one.
In other news, Zach Parker loses to John Ryder. This was for the WBO interim super middleweight title. It wasn't much to see, really, obviously, because Zach Parker pulled out. But what he did show me was that he could probably come back a better fighter.
Yeah, what was his hand was messed up, I heard, right? This is going on at the same time as the Whyte fight. And I was watching the Whyte fight at this time.
That was a shame.
So now John Ryder is the champ.
Yeah, his hand. Yeah. He hurt his
he's
hand.
the interim champ.
His tough. And they're talking about putting him in with Canelo. Yeah, and Canelo.
Yeah, he's a mandatory. I mean, realistically, the WBA should be the next mandatory because that was the first super middleweight title that Canelo had got was the WBA title. So if he's going to start fighting his mandatories, it should be the WBA one first. And then, how he got him.
Well, let's, I don't know. He'll probably go with, Canelo will probably go with him.
Yeah, he's fighting Ryder. Yeah, he's fighting Ryder.
Yeah, because to see how his hand works, and then he'll probably want Bivol after that.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's going to be. It's going to be Ryder in May, and then Bivol in September.
Victor Ortiz is telling him to stay in his lane. He can't beat Bivol.
In other news, which is even more shocking, 47-year-old Sergio Martinez is returning to a fight card on the next week in Orlando at the Casino Royal. And he'll be fighting a guy called Noah Kidd, a guy who is ranked. He's ranked 750 in the world.
Hey, Sergio been active. He's ranked by somebody. I think he ranked by WBA in one of them divisions.
Yeah. You know what? This guy shouldn't even be ranked. He hasn't won a world title. We're talking like well over a decade. Him and his bad hips. The rest of the card, and guess what? It's one of them drug cards.
The WBA convention cards.
Yeah. Marvelous, isn't it? Marvelous. Let me see what else there is.
Guess that's a compliment for you.
See what else there is. We will go to next week's fights, or this week's fight. Roman Gonzalez is fighting Estrada.
Who do I like in this?
What do you think of this?
That'll be a war.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who would I like in this one. I want to go with Gonzalez, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Gonzalez.
Well, he's the sentimental favorite, but he's also getting up there, and you're gonna go with Chocolatito?
Yeah, I'm going with Roman.
Think so? I don't know. I think Chocolatito has been declining.
But this is the trilogy, right? This is 1-1, right?
Yeah.
This is 1-1, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And both times you can argue that Roman was better than Estrada, but it's cool. I mean, Estrada, he got the slight edge on the youth, not by too much, but he's younger. They both been through wars, so it's not like one of them has been through more wars than the other.
These two guys, how they had hell of
You know what?
both of them,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's a draw.
I have no opinion on this fight. These guys,
really,
they keep going. These guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna say it's a draw.
Also on this card, Julio Cesar Martinez against Samuel Kimona. This is for the WBC fly title. Obviously, Martinez will win because he's the top fighter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah, he's a great fighter.
Well,
let me see what
there's no guarantee if Sergio Martinez is fighting if he's going to win or not because of all his injuries.
Not Sergio. He was talking about for the flyweight.
Oh, flyweight. Oh, that's different. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't.
He said,
Sergio Martinez. I don't know, man.
Nah, what's his name? You said he hosts
Cesar Martinez, the guy who beat
Cesar Martinez. Yeah,
I can't remember. Sonny Williams or what? He beat one of the Sonny Edwards.
Sonny Edwards.
In other news, Josh Kelly won the British Super Welterweight, won the 154 British title today.
Nice. Good for him. I like that. You like that, Spencer?
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder what's next up for him.
He'll have a couple of defenses, then he'll probably get a shot at the European belt now that Avanasian's out of the way. You see, that Avanasian fight was probably a year or two.
This is you just said this is super welterweight, so that means he at 154 now. He ain't at welterweight no more.
No, he's at 154, yeah.
So, like, is it what's it calling him at 154?
No, I think I might have got that wrong. Give me a second.
Yeah, isn't Cheeseman and Eggington and all of them at 154?
Me double check it. British Super Welter. Yeah, so it was the British Super 154. Same weight that Eggington is at.
Yeah, he could get those guys, right? He could fight those, right? Those
I do believe I'm not saying he'll win a world title, but he could definitely get to the European level.
Yeah. And if he fight the right European opponent, he'll mess around and win and get a mandatory ranking or something like that, being a European champ.
Or he'll get a vacant belt title shot manipulated by Eddie Hearn, which is probably the outcome.
But you gotta see them 147 guys moving up to 154 in a few minutes. He might not be getting no shot. He better hurry up and get that shot.
Yeah, better do it.
Because once they start moving up to 154, he's done.
Yeah. Right, we'll go to
for sure.
To our final card final card, which is I'm going to start Daniel Dubois against Kevin Lerena for the WBA regular title. From what I've seen of Kevin Lerena, I've seen one of his fights where he beat Sefer Seferi in one round and a fight where he beat Marius Wack over 12. He's a good fighter. He's very undersized for the heavyweight division, in my opinion. I know you said he weighed 230 pounds, but, you know, with all that extra weight, I don't think he's suited to heavyweight, really. I've never thought that, you know, bridgerweight, Kevin Lerena would be perfect at bridgerweight.
He probably would be.
He's just too undersized to be a top heavyweight. You know, I'm not saying he can't pull off a shot, but I think Dubois will control the action with the jab and he'll knock him out in the 7th, 8th round. I just believe this step too far for Lerena. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was the IBO Cruiserweight champion. He had some good defences, but a lot of these guys were past it and old, you know. I'm not saying he's not good. I just, you know,
he's not going to beat Dubois. No, nothing to take away from Lerena, but he's just not big enough to beat Dubois. Now, I'm agreeing with you on that one. And I think that with Dubois, this is an easy one because his next fight is going to have to be a fight that is going to be challenging. Like, so this is a little layup for him. Because I think he's got to fight his mandatory or fight Usyk, winner or whatever, that guy. And I'm not sure how that works out. They might allow him since he's a W.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Tom.
It's a safe fight for Daniel. It's a safe fight for him. It's a smart fight to keep him in the mix so he does. And plus, they could see him on the card with Fury. I mean, Fury could wind up fighting him. You know, whatever happens, it's going to be dramatic knockout fight for Dubois.
You know, Dubois, I have reservations about him. I don't think he's got that much better since he lost to Joyce. I think he's got better, but he hasn't. He needs more fights. He needs more learning fights. You know, they can't just throw him in like that. Like, the only reason they took this title fight was because this opportunity was way too good to turn down, wasn't it? You know, an easy version,
I agree.
World title, you know.
And when you look up and down the WBA,
when you get to championship level, you can't really go back.
Yeah, and when you look up at the WBA heavyweight rankings, who's ranked up there outside of the top guys, which they're not going to be going into a purse bid with Dubois anyway. You look up, you'll see guys like Lorena and Lucas Brown, guys he could beat. So, you know,
keep him with those guys.
Yeah, keep him fighting, and it's justifiable because they in the top 15 of the belt he's holding. So he could keep fighting.
If he was a champion, if he was the top champion of the WBA, it wouldn't really be acceptable. People would be bitching about it because it's a fringe, basically a contender's belt.
He's able to get away with it, and Michael Hunter is really his mandatory. Now,
Michael Hunter, I tell you what, if you had the Michael Hunter 3 years ago, I'd pick the Michael Hunter 3 years ago to him. He can do bar problems seriously. I've always rated him.
I was about to say Michael Hunter. His last couple of fights, he hasn't been looking the best, but he could still beat Dubois. He's still skilled enough and experienced enough to beat him, despite what we just seen recently of him.
Michael Hunter needs motivation to get up for a fight.
Right, Dubois would be a motivation to get up for.
Right, if you put in a Michael Hunter that's motivated and on form, he beats Dubois 7 times out of 10. Seriously, he does. And we know he does. We've seen him do. He should have beaten Povetkin, really.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. See, if a fighter doesn't, what motivates a fighter are fighting for a title and fighting for big money. And with a guy like Daniel Dubois, they're not going to put him again with the guy who's a destroyer like Joe Joyce was. You know, they're gonna keep him protected until he could get at a bigger title shot.
Yeah, get a big money fight.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking, but Michael Hunter, you know, ever since Eddie dropped him, he's been kind of like languishing, winning, but, not really motivated. Oh, and
Right.
speaking of Eddie Hearn, today he was talking about the fact that Conor Benn's case is being reviewed by the WBC because the British Board of Control has no authority over VADA, and that he may either be exonerated or just given a sanction and will be able to fight again.
But not in Britain, because they're not
No,
giving it a license.
he let his license expire in Britain. He didn't give it up. He just let it expire. He didn't say, okay, I
So,
quit. But they tried to fine him like $100,000 for some ridiculous thing that wasn't in their rule book. So he'll be able to fight, maybe not in Britain, but he may be able to get reinserted depending on what happens with the WBC.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, we were talking about Michael Hunter. Sorry I changed the subject there, Nathan.
Nah,
Do you
no
want to wrap
problem.
that one up?
Well, he was talking about Eddie Hearn with the Michael Hunter, but yeah, that's the problem with Michael Hunter. He probably seen that he was, those people like Triller was offering him decent money for the time being, more than he was getting fighting on undercards of Eddie Hearn. So he probably went for it. But now he sees that they don't really have a lot of guys for you to fight. And you could push your mandatory spot against Daniel Dubois, whatever the case is. Then you got to worry about whether or not you're going to get cheated in they'll low bid that fight because there's nobody going to fight, bid on that fight for you,
That's
against
right.
Dubois. So, you got to worry about all of the other stuff that goes.
The truth is, they need to build that WBO belt will be milked by Frank Warren and Daniel Dubois, because this is as good as it's ever going to get for him. That's just my opinion. I think once he loses his belt, whenever he won't be champion again, and unless it's for a vacant belt. I just don't see the talent that these are the people see. I don't see it.
Maybe him and Franklin could get it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Franklin would cause him problems, plenty of problems, But I think Dubois would probably knock him out at some point, in the fight.
Or Dubois versus Dillian Whyte. That would also be a good one.
Really, I tell you what, I think Dubois would walk through Dillian right now, but it'd be the perfect defense because he's a name, isn't he? And he's past it as well.
I was gonna say, don't be surprised if they offer Dillian Whyte some money to fight Daniel Dubois after he, fights this guy, because they're not going to want Dubois to. I mean, they could if negotiations don't go right, they could have Dubois fight.
Who I would have thought would have taken a fight with Dubois? I'm surprised Joshua's people didn't say, right, you give us a title shot. I'm surprised they didn't do that. If Frank Warren was offered enough money for Dubois, he'd let him fight Joshua, wouldn't he? Surely.
Daniel Dubois doesn't have that, across the United States and in other parts of the world popularity.
No, but he has a belt.
And
when you have a belt,
a belt doesn't mean what it used to be. That doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But it still puts you in the picture.
But that would be a big. That would be a big fight in England for Dubois to fight Whyte. That would make money.
Yeah, but the belt thing don't. I would kind of agree with Tom, because the belt thing don't really matter in AJ's case, because everybody knows who has the other belt, the guy that AJ lost to twice already. So him having the junior belt isn't like, oh wow, and now let's see if he could get back into the mix to fight for the real belt. That's not what is going to drive people. But I do agree slightly that AJ versus Dubois could make Dubois some money, because anybody AJ fight is going to make money, and Dubois is a British dude, it would be for a title, but the title fight isn't what's going to be the glamour part of the thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just like icing on the cake, basically. But yeah, I would rather him fight Dillian Whyte, Daniel Dubois, because he'll lose to AJ. I think he could beat Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
Dillian Whyte. it's so hard because you've got the new heavyweights coming up. You know, the new generation. Like, who's that Cuban guy? The one who's really boring to watch. Frank
Frank Sanchez.
Frank Sanchez, yeah.
Or the silver medalist. Or wait, the dude he just fought. What's his name? Glockovich?
Yeah. Look, you know, I can't remember. My memory gets worse. But anyway, let's go on to the main event. Tyson Fury will defend the WBC heavyweight belt against Derek Chisora for the third time. Nobody cares about this one at all. I mean, I love Tyson Fury, a big fan of his. It's an easy title defense. This is his third title defense.
Yeah, it's not one of the fights that people would want him to fight. I mean, you know, like, if I'm gonna be objectively speaking, although we've seen this before, there could have been worse opponents Tyson Fury could have picked.
Oh yeah. Manuel Chubb would have been an even worse opponent.
You know, it's good for Tyson because he's home. You know, he's at home and he doesn't have to travel, and he's been training, so he's going to look really good in this. And so it's going to be a good show.
I just feel like the Kronk style is wasted on Derek Chisora. Seriously, I know he needs a fight. And when you're a champion, it's best to stay active, isn't it? A fight's a fight. If he'd not had this fight and not had any fights at all, it would have been a problem. But I think him having this fight is good. You know, so soon after he fought Dillian.
Sugar Hill is training him for this one?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Sugar Hill is training him, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sugar Hill making the trip. All right.
He didn't train him for his last fight, did
he? He probably was. He probably was.
Well, at first they said he didn't, and then I think he got involved near the end. He was pissed because he had his old trainer train him. But I think it's going to be a knockout. I think that it'll go about 3-4 rounds. But Chisora, you know, he's game. He's got guts. He comes to fight. He'll do the best he can to make this a fight.
Yeah, for as long as it is, he'll be there.
You know what? You know what I'd like to see happen in this fight? I'd like to see Fury get dropped once or twice, come back and win. Like, you know, I don't want to. I want to see an aggressive Fury. I want to see a Fury that goes for the knockout straight away. I don't want to see this Fury who's dancing around for 12 rounds. I want to see him knock him out, get rid of Chisora as quick as possible to make a statement. You know, if he knocks Chisora out in one round, to me that makes a statement.
It's dramatic.
Yeah, for sure.
But
listen,
it'd be nice to see that rather than a 6-round fight where Chisora is being carried for 6 rounds. If Fury's going to hurt him and knock him out of there, I'd rather we get him out of there quickly. You know, it don't make any sense to leave like that lying around.
I would hope that if Fury did attempt to try to like carry him or something, that Chisora would try to go for the gusto, and that would force Fury to not play around.
I think Chisora is going to mean business. He's going to go after him because that's the only chance he has is to, you know, a puncher's chance at this point. He's not going to outbox Fury. He's got to get by those arms, get low, get underneath, and throw hooks and try to get him to the body for him to bend over so he can uppercut or throw a right. So that's what I would be working on with him if I was his trainer, to slip the jab and get inside, pound the body, see if we could get him to lean forward and then uppercut and hook. Could you
imagine if Chisora was to pull this off and actually win? I'm not saying it could happen. Imagine if it did happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, anything can happen. What's the weight? Do we know the weight of Fury?
Yeah, I put it up there. It's like 268.
Oh, so he's kind of big. He's not 278, but he's 268. That's one of his heavier weights.
Yeah, I think he's learned how to work with this heavier weight, you know. I think he's been using it well for his punching power. I don't think it's going to hurt him.
Yeah,
Karen.
He's good. I just was trying to figure out.
Fury's punch resistance isn't what it was from those fights with Wilder.
Hello?
So obviously his resistance has taken a punch, hasn't it?
Hold on. Fury is 260. Sorry.
260, yeah.
No, okay. Oh, so he dropped a few pounds. He dropped almost 20 pounds.
Yeah, he's training,
But how much longer can Chisora continue fighting at this kind of level? Because obviously those fights with the Wilders, they catch up with you, right?
You want me to answer that? I could answer that. How about
I wanted to answer it.
How about 5 rounds?
Yeah, that's all he's going to give. After that, he's tired.
Yeah.
Who, Fury? Or
and
Fury
if you're not as old as him, or gets tired as easy like a Dylan Whyte or a Pulev or something like that, and Pulev was okay, but if you have trouble breathing after 5 or 6 rounds, then Chisora stays in the fight a little bit. The fight is going to go on.
Yeah.
But if you're a young dude or well in shape guy, you should be getting Chisora out of there by 7 or 8.
I would say sooner. He's going to walk him into some shots. That's what they've been practicing, having the guy walk into the shot, which is great because that's what Chisora will do. But Nathan, what I was saying was that you asked how much longer he could do it, and I said 5 rounds. That's going to be the end of his career after that.
This is it.
I think Chisora should retire after this, no matter what. If he doesn't walk away, he'll have 13 losses after this. If he does come back again, he needs to have one more fight against an opponent like a Dave Allen or someone at that level he can beat. Then he can walk away from the sport. He can walk away with his head held up, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope he doesn't get hurt and, we see him out in a blaze of glory here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing if he did knock Fury out?
That would be one of them great upsets like Buster Douglas over Tyson or something.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if he did, could you imagine if Fury did get knocked out and Chisora retires on that? Could you imagine how pissed off Fury would be if that happened?
I don't know. Fury would just say it was part of the game. I don't think he would be pissed. I think he's a pro. He knows what's at stake. He'd want a rematch,
wouldn't he? He'd want a rematch with Chisora. Hopefully they've got a and then, but then if Chisora did win, knock him out, walked away.
Do you know, Spencer? If there's a rematch clause?
I'm not
sure. There probably isn't.
I would assume that they do, especially seeing how Ruiz upset the apple cart against AJ. That they're like, we're not taking no chances.
Yeah. Well, Arum has said that if Fury wins, he fights Usyk next. But Fury has also said that he won't pay the sanctioning fee to the IBF. Because it's too much. So it may not be a unified champion. You know what I mean?
But the problem is, I can explain it a different way. When Fury beat Klitschko for all the belts, remember the IBF stripped him and gave the title shot to Charles Martin against Glasgow for the vacant belt. So because I remember he said he put the belt in the toilet. I remember him.
That's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason he cited for not wanting to pay the sanctioning fees. But all the titles still going to be on the line because he don't got the IBF right now. Usyk does.
Yeah, but the problem is, if Usyk does take the fight, Hrgović is the mandatory. Isn't he? They're going to either strip her. Obviously, after whoever wins the Fury Usyk fight would be stripped of the belt anyway, and then the fight would go straight to thing.
Yeah, if they're having a rematch, automatic rematch, no matter who wins, the rematch is not going to have the IBF belt on the line. So
what the IBF need to do is make an interim belt. They should give Hrgović the IBF interim. Seriously,
could do that.
they're not.
They could do that,
Usyk,
but then Fury ain't fighting Hergovich if he wins.
but it's like
So they might as well listen. What I'm
WBO
trying,
have done it with Joyce, haven't they? Giving an injury.
yeah, but all I'm saying is the WBA gave Joe Joyce an interim title because Joe Joyce, they want Joe Joyce to automatically fight Usyk, or just whoever wins out of the Fury Usyk fight. There's a chance that the winner is going to retire, and that WBO belt will be the Joe Joyce's belt. But what I was trying to say with the undisputed is that Fury, he don't want to pay the sanctioning fee, but it's Usyk that will pay his portion, and it could be up for Usyk, but not for Fury. So the undisputed it'll be like a quasi undisputed. If it's Usyk, he'll be the undisputed champ. But if it's Fury, then he won't be, because then he'll have to fight Herkovich.
Yeah, I wish boxing would just return to one belt per division. It would be so much better, I think.
It'll never turn back.
You got guys that would never get a title shot. You would have fighters that would have to fight like every month.
Yeah, like it used to be.
Yeah, but they wasn't defending their titles every month. They was fighting all the time, but not all those fights was title defenses. And they don't have that now.
That's right.
Like a lot of fights there's no fights. The champs nowadays, mostly all of their fights are title fights.
That's right. I remember when Duran lost in a non-title fight when he didn't put it on the line against Vera Wet.
Yeah, so like there's a big difference than the way boxing used to be than the way it is now. So
let's go to the cruiserweight ranking. You know what? The reason I asked you to do it to 5 rankings because I couldn't think of 10 cruiserweights, to be honest.
Listen, 6 through 10 will be an argument that it would be a futile argument, because whoever 6 through 10 is, that's why I wasn't even sure if Kovalev should be number 5, because he only had one fight at cruiserweight, and I'm thinking about it. So did Badu Jack.
The problem with cruiserweight for me is it's not a division I really pay attention to. Heavyweight and light heavyweight, but the cruiserweight, it's like I watch it and I don't. You know what I mean? It's like the division that nobody really cares
give
about.
It to the champs as the top guys in the division.
But do you agree that the cruiserweight division is like the division that nobody gives a toss about, nobody gives a shit about? That's how it feels.
I think
it's like where the heavyweight people are. Carry on.
No, I think you're right. I think historically we've had some great cruiserweight champions, but it was all a stopping point to move up to heavyweight, like Michael Mora,
for me,
and the Holyfield.
Usyk
is the division for the guys who are heavyweights, but they're never going to be big enough or good enough to be the real heavyweight champions. You know, obviously that's not true.
Some of them are. Were
Usyk, yeah. Usyk and Holyfield,
and other people. More
David Hay,
James Toney, yeah.
David
Hay. It's like if you're too big to be a light heavyweight, you're a cruiserweight. If you're not big enough to be heavyweight, then you're cruiserweight. And then
a lot of the guys that might start out as cruiserweights that don't grow into cruiserweights, that might start out their pro career at cruiserweights, might eventually become heavyweights and be established good heavyweights. But guys that start out at light heavyweight, they might not be as successful moving into the heavyweight ranks via cruiserweight.
Interestingly enough, Spencer, Rocky Marciano won the title at 187. Walcott was 200. Jack Dempsey fought that giant, and he was like 186 or something like that, and he beat him. And Jack Johnson was bigger, but not much bigger than some. He fought some of the, like Jess Willard. Those guys were huge back then. So they just went up to heavyweight. They didn't have that. And that's happened before, in history, where guys have been blowing up light heavyweights or cruiserweights, go up to heavyweight and win. So it's not unusual. It's just whole thing. No, what I'm saying is that in this era of trying to trying to mitigate the weight differences and make it fairer and make more titles. A lot of these guys are using it as stopovers. That's what they're doing, you know. I mean, look at Michael Spinks. He went from light heavyweight to heavyweight and won the title against Holmes.
And I think, wasn't he a middleweight in the Olympics?
Yeah, he was. His brother was the heavyweight.
Well, I thought Leon was the light heavyweight in the Olympics.
Yeah,
but,
I'm saying, yes. But then they both grew into those weights.
Right, when
You
they
know, and
turned
then-
pro, right. That's a, yeah.
Right. And Mike Tyson now is small for a heavyweight, you know.
I mean, like
would be
a
considered
few of those
small.
guys you mentioned, like Rocky Marciano being like what you said, 187 or something. That was pretty. That's a what a cruiserweight now. You know,
Yeah, I know.
If he really got on the bike, he could be a light heavyweight. You know, and so
Yeah, but you look back at Max Baer, he was like 220 or 2 something, and he was fighting when he fought what's his name, the Irish guy, the Cinderella Man. He was much smaller than him, and the Cinderella Man won. Primo Carnera was bigger than Max Baer, and Max Baer knocked him out of the ring.
yeah, those
You
guys
know.
like Joe Louis, wasn't he like 6'4" something like that?
6'5", I think he
Yeah.
was 6'6",
Yeah.
from Argentina, and Max Baer was like 200 pounds. He
Right.
was 6'3".
Let's talk about these rankings in the cruiserweight. The next week we'll do light heavyweight, which is easier to do because we know all the fighters. Right.
Yeah.
Number 5. Let me just go to number 5 is Kovalov. I can understand why he's 5. Obviously, he would be higher if he'd fought more. Do you guys think Kovalov could win a belt at this weight, or not? Or are those days long gone? Do you think?
I mean, he could probably win a belt, but he's getting old there. He better hurry up and do it.
He's a skillful boxer and he has punch. He has to be wary of getting clocked. He was never the same after the Andre Ward fight.
No.
But he could. But you were right about not ranking him 5 because he's not ranked. That was a good call. I didn't think of that when I put him
I
at
tell you
5.
what, I think he's better than McCarby. I think he's better than
He's
McCarby.
better than what?
Technically, I think he's better than McCarby. Much better, technically.
Who
But
the
can,
Well,
he,
technically-
but can he take the shot? If he can't take the shots, McCarby will get him out.
Yeah, because if you could hit him, if he's getting stopped by guys at light heavyweight in the gut, then guys at cruiserweight could really hurt him in the gut. You know, and I would think that I would have picked like Breedis or Dorticus at number 5 over Kovalev, only because those guys are former champs. They still highly ranked. One, you know, Breedis just lost, so maybe I wouldn't rank him. But
you know what? I wouldn't pick him to beat Gulliman. I'd pick him to beat McCarby. Even Lawrence Okoli would knock him out because Lawrence Okoli is massive.
Just a question here. Why do you say in the gut? Spencer, why do you say in the gut?
in his stomach, you mean, when he gets hit?
Yeah.
But because of his susceptibility of, you know, his tenderness in the belly.
Yeah.
Isn't that how
but
Ward got him out of there in the second fight?
Yeah, but you got to look at the fight, man. Most of those blows were low. You know, he stopped him the second time. No. He hit him low. He hit him low. He hit him low.
Listen, I'm gonna give the first one maybe, but that was a belt line punch. But a lot of those other ones was in the gut area, and Ward was going for the stomach, and Kovalev was keeling over for a few of those punches. So some of them straight low.
All I'll say is that
I'm not going to rationalize
since he's been trained by Buddy McGirt, his style has changed. Notice how his style has changed. The same as Dylan. He's more defensive now. So everything he does is behind the jab now, isn't it? Pretty much. And if he gets
it should be. He's a good
boxer.
boxer.
Which it should be. That's boxing 101. But yeah. But then Alita Alvarez overpowered him too.
Yeah,
but
then in the second fight, in the rematch, but in the rematch, Alvarez was getting outboxed and he was getting hurt, weren't he? Do you remember watching it? Kovalev
Yeah,
was
I
hit.
watched that
listen.
fight. He got him on the ropes and scored and knocked him out, but he was losing those rounds. He
I was
was
going to
losing
say,
up to the
Alita
ninth round.
wasn't really winning the first fight. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, he has a chance of being stopped because he can be stopped. And he got stopped by light heavyweight guys. Now, if you want to rationalize him being hit in the gut, in the belly, or being below the belt, then I'll let you have that. But nevertheless, a lot of those, I would still want to see more of him than fighting Pulev's brother at cruiserweight to rank him top 5. I would want to respect the other guys who've been doing it there for a little bit longer, more
Yes,
than that.
I agree. I agree. I don't disagree with that. You're right. Who's 4? Makabu?
No,
I think he got who we got
Let
in
me look.
for.
Let me look. Give me a second.
I thought it was Makabu was 4.
It is. It's Makabu.
Number 4 Zakoli. No, number 4 Zakoli. Lawrence Zakoli.
No.
Yeah, it is. That's what you put on. That's what Tom's put in. Oh, I'm going on what?
I thought I switched it around. I thought I switched that around.
Yeah, Makabu should be number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
And
who's
number
3? Who did I put at 3? I put
Golemov.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I put him at 3.
So number 4, you put as Zakoli, but you want to go with Makabu as 4. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Makabu obviously is a guy who's lost to Tony Bellew, you know, before, and then lost to Fuzio Mabutsa, you could say. And he's a guy who's got big power, but he doesn't have much in the way of skill or defense. And, you know, I think I would put him at 5. I even believe Kovalev would beat this guy.
I mean, Kovalev probably can't beat him. He should fight him next.
Yeah.
I agree.
Makabu is like, there's this man, how he keeps getting title shots, and when he finally won it, I was like, you know, this guy, he's not an elite cruiserweight, in my opinion. You know, he never had been, he never will be.
Well, he has a belt, so somebody should fight him.
I do believe Canelo could come up and beat him. I know Canelo was too small against Singing. Even someone like, you know, I believe some of the light heavyweight champions could beat him.
I think I like your idea that Kovalev is going to fight him soon.
Yeah, that would be a match that could be made. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But against the other 3 guys,
I tell you
a
what,
little rougher.
at this point, even Bivol would be a good cruiserweight, the way he's carrying on. You know, he's a big guy, 6'4", you know, massive guy.
You mess around, Badu Jack gonna run and try to get that fight.
Badu Jack's not in the rankings, but Badu Jack, you know, he's had 6 fights at cruiserweight now.
Yeah, so he could get a ranking. All he got to do is petition for one.
Yeah, that will make him a freeweight champion. But so for me, Makabu is the weakest of the champions by far.
Yeah, that's why he's the 4th.
Yeah,
that's right.
And number 3 is Guliman the French WBA super champion. He's not a bad fighter. Again, he's not elite.
He hasn't fought a lot of good opposition, in my opinion.
No.
That's why I put him there. He has a good record.
Yeah,
but
and he got a title.
That's right. So I put him over Makabu because he's a better boxer.
Yeah, he looks better than Makabu, but he's not better than the other 2.
No.
So, yeah, that was number 2. What was number? Yeah, sorry, fuck's sake. Number 2 was Guliman.
No. Guliman is number 3.
Guliman's number 3, and number 2 is Okoli, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lawrence Okoli, for me, I think he's the best out of all of them. Not by much.
You got him above Jai?
Jai is a very good fighter. Well, we'll come to him. But I think Okoli's big. He hits hard at this weight. I think he'll be going up to heavyweight within a year. Or possibly.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely see that too.
2-3 years. He'll be going up to
the only reason
I don't think he'll win any more titles at heavyweight, but I think at this division he could clear this division up.
Yeah, he could probably do that.
I agree. The only reason I put him at 2 was because he doesn't have as many fights as the other guy who beat, what was his name?
Greatest.
Yes, Briedis, yeah.
Yeah, but he did
So
beat
that's why.
Glowacki, a guy who's won the belt 2 or 3 times. And then he
Yeah.
beat another guy. I mean, his last couple of defenses have been against weak opponents. But that Glowacki win told me everything I needed to know, you know?
All right. Well, good point. Good point.
But if you want to look at it this way, obviously Usyk beat Glowacki in his like 7th or 8th fight.
It took him until what? Anyway, listen. So, do you want to do Jai 1A, Akoli 1B?
That's good. Do that.
Right. Next is Jai, a guy who is number 1 by default because he beat the best guy. But I don't think he is the best. I mean, that win for me was a little bit suspicious, if you know what I mean. That win with Bredis. It was very good.
Didn't he break his jaw like early in that fight?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
And he broke it in 2 places. So for him to continue on doing that against one of the better guys in the fight, showed he had a lot of heart and grit. I'm not sure if Akoli would have been able to do that. Same thing.
Jai is a guy who was in the right place at the right time because Bredis had enough now. Get them in the rematch, and I think Bredis would win the rematch. I don't rate this Jai guy too highly. I think he just got lucky. Bredis had enough.
Well, I don't think it was luck. I mean, I watched that fight. It was a tough fight, and he was fighting back, and he was
Jai is not a guy we're going to talk about in 10 or 20 years as the best cruiserweight ever. You know, Coley his name will be that, but I just don't see. I mean, because this division is so weak at the minute, and there's no real dominant force. That's why the Kovalovs can come up and and dominate. I do believe that Jai, if Coley goes away, he can clear this division up, and then get it to heavyweight,
Yeah.
As we said, the cruiserweight is a division to stardom in the heavyweight division. It's an entry. It's another way in.
Exactly.
Well,
Because
sorry, carry on.
I was going to say a lot of the divisions that aren't the like original divisions, those juniors or supers, they're really just platforms until they get into the glamour divisions, to the welterweights, the middleweights and stuff.
Was it 1980 it came into existence? I can't remember. 1982 or something, wasn't it? Or 1980?
Somewhere around there.
That's right. That's when it came in. The Dwight Muhammad Qawi, and he fought.
Is it Marvin Camel was the first IBF? Was he the first IBF champion or something? I think he was the first IBF champion. Marvin Camel.
Marvin Camel?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think so. I go back to Dwight Muhammad Qawi because Holyfield beat him. It was right in the early stages.
All right, listen, fellas, I'm going to wrap this up because I got to start getting ready.
Okay, I'll see you later. I'll see you next week, Spencer.
All right, no
hey,
doubt.
Nice show, guys. Enjoy yourself, Spencer.
Stay on the line, Tom. I'm going to stop.
All right.
I'm going to stop recording now. Let me just stop recording. Lady thing, give me 1 second. Lady thing.